Hey everybody, so this is a video for a DIY rainbow highlighter, and I originally filmed this video in June, and it is now early November, and it's taken me a very long time to edit this. It was originally over an hour long, so warning, this is an extremely long video. However, it's definitely not an hour long. Like I said, I've done a whole lot of editing, and just a FYI, I made this video primarily because of the different products I used to create this highlighter, and my whole idea was just to show what you could use and mix together to create this particular highlighter. And it was just my spin on this because it's a very popular project, and of course there's a bunch of them that are being sold on the market these days. So this is just my take on it. So if you don't like long tutorials and videos, this is not the video for you. But if you're curious, or if you just want to see how I made this, then stick around and watch. And here's just a little swatch that I've done on the back of my hand, because it seems like no matter how many times I've tried filming this, it does not show up that well on camera. This is probably one of the better views I've gotten of it so far, but that is just a little swatch. And so here we go. We're gonna jump into the tutorial and everything right now. So here are the things you'll need for your highlighter. Just a side note, I will not be using everything I'm showing. It's just to give you an idea. But to start off with, here's some ideas for some bases you can use for your highlighter. While this may not be necessary, I feel like that it'll make it more, I guess, cohesive to have something as a base. So I'm going to be using this e.l.f. highlighter in the shade Moonlight Pearls as my base. I will not be using all of it, but I will be pretty much depotting the whole thing. And I'm going to use the pen as my empty pan to put my rainbow highlighter in. But you can also use like an eyeshadow. These are two different kinds of eyeshadows that are pretty inexpensive. If you can find the Essence eyeshadows, I recommend like either the light pink or like the beigey color, or preferably probably the white would be the best. Or Sally's has these little bitsy eyeshadows that are like $1.50, so that would be a great alternative, and it's still like a decent size of product, but the pan is not like ginormous. I wouldn't suggest using anything that has a ginormous pan, because it makes it harder to get the like full rainbow effect on your face without having to do things individually and blah blah blah. Just for the sake of easiness, just go with something that's kind of like a smaller pan. But to me, this is like the perfect thing to use, and this is about $4, so it's more than what I'd like to invest, but it's really not that much of an investment. Again, I will not be using everything that I am showing, but this is just to give you a good general idea of things that you can use. And a majority of these items have been purchased from Dollar Tree, so this can be a very affordable alternative to a rainbow highlighter. You can customize it any way you want to your liking, and you don't have to spend a whole lot of money to do it. So, and as you can see, most of these items are LA Color items, which again are Dollar Tree items. So, it's very inexpensive to do this. Now, I do have some, like, you'll see a MAC pigment in the middle, and I'll go into more details about how I'm going to use that, but it's definitely not necessary. By any means, it is not necessary at all. But yeah, so here's just a huge selection of what you can use. And then you'll need some rubbing alcohol, which I'm using the 70% isopropyl alcohol. I'm going to use these containers that I got from Dollar Tree to do my mixing in of each individual color, and then some toothpicks to scrape out the pigment and to do the mixing with. So that's it for what you need. I have the camera zoomed way in right now. I hope the quality is still showing up without being grainy or blurry. So what I'm going to do right now, I'm going to separate out probably about 30% of this e.l.f. highlighter into a container, and that's what I will be using. I'll be using roughly 30% of the highlighter, and there goes my little toothpick, thanks to my little ghetto ratchet setup here. Yeah, I'll be using about 30% of this product, and because I don't want to like use too much of it, because if you think about it, you're going to be adding different products, like different amounts of the pigment, which will also be like filling up the pan, and this thing is pretty full, like it's kind of domed up, so I don't know if that's totally like 100% product that's kind of domed up there, but I don't want my pan to be that full. I want it to be pretty flat, and I really don't need that much product anyway, and plus I really like this highlighter. I found out after the fact, after buying it, I tested it out, and I do like the highlighter, so I'm going to save a lot of the highlighter, and I'll like use it in a loose form, or I may use it for like other like makeup projects. So I mean, don't like think that you have to use the whole amount, because you don't. So anyway, here we go. I'm gonna break this up, and hopefully this will work out. So I'm going to try to do this in a way that maybe you can see. So I'm just going to use the toothpick to kind of start drawing. Let's see if I can do this without making a huge mess. Yeah, so that's all product. Like the dome effect, it's domed up, and what it's not like, I was kind of half expecting there to be like a molding coming up from the pan, but that is all product. And by molding, I meant the pan. Like I was half expecting the pan to kind of be dome shaped as well, because I've never done this before to a product. This is kind of an odd sensation, purposely destroying a product, but it's going to be for a fun experiment, so, and hopefully the result will be great. Alright. That is quite a bit of product, even though it may not seem like it is, but it is quite a bit. Let me start filling up this other container. So, not so fun fact, there's not really a pan in here. I was expecting there to be a metal pan, but there is no metal pan. It's just the plastic base is just kind of molded with these circle indentions in it, and it's really not shallow at all. So that's going to make putting the colors in there a whole lot of fun, but we'll make it work somehow. So just a heads up, if you're using the e.l.f. highlighter, something to be aware of, because I was not aware until this point. So, and by the way, just to give like a swatch of the color, that's what it looks like. And I already have a little bit that I kind of put on the back of my hand, but if that's showing up, it's just, I like this color because it has that whole highlighter effect, but it's not very pigmented, so it shouldn't get in the way of our colors, and which, I'm not sure if I've mentioned this already, but I kind of want more of a subtle pastel rainbow effect instead of like a bold rainbow effect, so this should really help with that finish. So this is what we have right now. This is the one that I estimated to be about 30%, and then this is like the one I'm estimating to be about 70% product. So my next step is I'm going to divide this out the best I can into 6 other containers, and those will be our different color bases. So I've got these already divided out into 6 containers, the best I could. Of course they're not perfectly even, but I tried. And this is what they look like, if that's showing up clear. And what I'm going to do, I want my highlighter to be a little extra shimmery. So I'm going to take MAC pigment in the color Kitschmas, and add just a little bit to each one, just to give it a little extra oomph, because that's what I'm trying to achieve with this. So, let me see. I've rarely ever used this stuff, and this is a very pink shimmer. So, what I did when I divided out these into 6 parts, I took a sticky note, just a basic sticky note, and I folded it in half where the stickiness is, and I just kind of cut the edge, like cut at an angle, so that I can make like a little scoop. And that's just kind of how like I divided it up. Like, since I have these little containers, so I just took my toothpick and drew a line across, and then into 3 sections, sectioned it off to make 6 little portions, and then I just kind of scooped each little section. Anyway, so I'm going to kind of use the same principle here and just scoop a little bit of this pigment. I don't want a whole lot, but just a little bit. Like, if that's showing up, that's just a little, like, I don't even know how to describe that, like maybe a 1/4 of a pea size amount. But yeah, so the measurements of this is not going to be exact for all of these, but that's pretty much what I'm doing. And like I said, just because I want a little extra oomph, and I don't want a whole lot of the pink pigmentation, but I just really want that shimmer. So I realized that my camera angle was kind of like off kilter from what I thought it was. So I apologize if anything is out of frame. This is a totally new setup I'm trying, and it's not the best setup, but it gives me the best lighting, and it's kind of convenient for me to set it up this way. So that way I can film like any time of the day without it being too much of an issue. But anyway, so I've added the little MAC pigment to give it some extra shimmer, and which everything I'm using is going to be like full-on shimmer, but that's just an extra little twinkle, sparkle, whatnot. So what I'm going to do now, I'm going to take this LA Colors loose eyeshadow in, what is it called? In Snow White, which is just a shimmery white. So I'm going to be adding a lot of this, or I say a lot of it, I don't know exactly how much I'm going to add, but anyway, this is going to be something that I add to every one of these, because I want to like make everything as pastel as possible, and especially when we get to the blue, I'll talk more about that. But if that's showing up, I've kind of like saturated the top of my highlighter and MAC pigments with this white. So I'm going to try to do that for each one of these. And as I go along, you know, there's no real precise measurements with these. It's just, I'm just going to mix them together until I get a color and consistency that I really like. So just do it to your own liking. You know, it's going to be an experiment. You're just going to have to experiment around. But this is more so to give you inspiration and to give you ideas of things that you can use that maybe you haven't really thought about, or maybe you have lying around. So I guess I'll start mixing my first color, which will be pink. So I'm going to use this LA Colors Loose Shadow in Lollipop. And I may mix some other colors. I don't know. Well, like other products or other eyeshadows to change this shade of pink, and I will like update as that goes along, but for now we're just going to do this just like we did with the white shadow. So actually I got quite a bit of that out, so let me start mixing it together to see how it's going to look. And so I'm going to go ahead and add these other LA Colors pigments or loose eyeshadows to the respective containers. And I'm also going to do this NYX Ultra Pearl one in Jade Pearl. I'm just going to go ahead and do these off camera since they're just basic little powdery eyeshadows and pigments. Just an update, I actually ended up adding about another scoop of the MAC Kitschmiss pigment to each of these, or actually, to be honest, added probably about 3 or 4 times that amount to the pink, and probably about 3 times that amount to the purple, just so that there'd be extra shimmer in it. I went ahead and mixed some of the, well, this one's the yellow, the sunshine one. I mixed some of the pink Lollipop with the yellow sunshine to get this orange. I will probably be adding more shadow to that. I will update on what I do with that because I'm not satisfied with it right now. The green, I added a lot of that NYX pigment to this to get the green. And then I added some of the yellow sunshine to it just to give it a little more oomph. But then it was looking kind of like pea green, not really feeling the vibe of it. So I I added more white to kind of mute it down some more and added a little bit more of the jade pigment to this. I think I might add a little bit of blue to it just to really add some extra oomph to it. But what I'm going to do, I'm ready for the blue pigment, and so I'm going to use this Profusion palette thing that I got from Dollar Tree, and it actually broke right after I got it, and so this is what remains of the yellow. I will probably actually scrape some of that yellow into that yellow, as well as maybe into this orange to give it a little extra pizzazz. But I think I'm going to take a combination of these blue shades right here. This is actually more of like a teal blue. This is kind of like a periwinkle blue. It reminds me of like a Cinderella blue. And then this is a darker blue, which if I do use this one, I'm only going to use just a tiny amount. And I'm thinking I might add some of that pink into the pink, just for the heck of it. Let's just have some fun with this. And since we're talking about blue, my problem with these these rainbow highlighters has been, like, a lot of people made really pretty highlighters. Like, they're all really pretty, but the blue is just too strong, and that's the problem I have with the Wet n Wild. The blue is just way too strong. So I really want a muted blue. I want it to, you can tell that's blue, and I want it to be like a light, yet vibrant blue, but I don't want it to be so overwhelming that it just stands out like, and looks like a bruise or something. So add a little bit more of that teal and a little bit more of this periwinkle. Actually, I'm going to add a lot more of this teal into there. And then I'll probably be adding a lot of white to mute it down. Oh, I just broke off a huge piece, so I guess we'll just throw that in there. So hopefully I won't need any more than that pigment-wise. I'm going to take this LA Colors palette, and I'm going to take this orangey shade right here, and I'm going to open the palette, and I will scrape this shade into my little orange container, like so. I think I'm going to get some of that LA Colors Honeysuckle loose eyeshadow, which it's more of a peachy kind of, well, I guess it's just like a peach shade. Just tap a little bit in there and mix that in as well. I kind of have this crazy idea that instead of doing stripes like in one direction, to do like rings of each color. That way I can take a brush and just kind of swirl the brush a certain way to get my stripes of color. So and I could clean this thing out, but I'm just gonna leave whatever little bit of product debris in there, just to give it a little extra grip, I guess. In my mind, that's what seems right. So our logical, like, it'll stick better with a little bit of product still in there. But anyway, so I went a little overboard with mixing some of these colors. So there's a lot more pigment in here now. But what I'm going to do, since I have so much of this, and I think I'm going to use like just whatever I need out of this, because I know that I won't need all of this, obviously. I'm going to save this stuff for another project, but since I have some of these little plastic disposable shot glasses from the dollar store, I just made a huge mess. So I'm just going to work with some of this. I'm just going to add a couple of drops of, well, that was more than a couple of drops of this rubbing alcohol. And my biggest challenge with getting this into my compact is the fact that my compact does not have a metal pan, and that the base is actually just a level base with just these little indentations in it. So getting my product to actually stick to the pan and to actually kind of form around it is going to be an interesting issue. So it begins. So this could be a very, very slow process. Oh my gosh. Yes, could take a while. So I'm going to stop the camera right here because this is going to be a very long, detailed process, and it'll take forever to show this on film. So I will be right back. I haven't quite gone through the second color yet, and my first color, the pink, is dry and crumbly now, and because the way I'm doing it's going to take a long time for me, I've decided to pull out the sprayer in this little pack of travel bottles, and I'm going to put alcohol in there, and I am going to use that to keep everything moist so that I will not have issues with things crumbling and falling all over the place. By things, I mean colors. So this is something I got from Dollar Tree, and I just have it on hand just because these things are handy to have. Alright, so here's a shot of what I have right now. Getting ready to mix up the purple and add it into the center. So let me do that. Alright, so this is what we have now. So what I'm going to do now is I'm going to saturate it really good with some alcohol, and I'm going to begin pressing it. So now I'm just going to try cleaning up these rough edges before I start pressing it. I don't know how effective this is going to be, because when I press it, it's just going to make the edges spew out. But we'll see. Now that that's saturated, I have a couple of these old coffee filters, and I'm just going to take one of them for now and fold it in half, and fold it in half again, and I think that, yeah, that should do. And what I'm going to do, I've got this thing of makeup, this loose powder container, and I am just going to, first off, I'm just going to press this down to kind of absorb the alcohol and help with the pressing process. And let's see, let me go ahead and kind of firmly press down. And lift it straight up. Oh dear. So that's kind of a mess right there. So that didn't do so well. So let me see if I can clean this up off camera and try to fix this. Round 2 of pressing, I have this other coffee filter folded a different way. So let's try this. So the hard part is getting even pressure applied. I think it's because I'm working on a softer surface. And let me try it with my hand underneath. So that may be really uneven. Okay, so it is still really uneven. I guess I'm just going to keep spraying it down with alcohol and pressing it until I can get it to be all evened out the best I can. And here's the final result of the rainbow highlighter. It has a little bit of a boo-boo from where I accidentally nicked it before it dried. But it still works fine. It may not look the neatest. Like, I tried pressing it a bunch of times and it still has those little gaps in it, but it doesn't affect it when it's applied, so that's good. So I'm going to demonstrate what it looks like. And here's what it looks like when it's all swatched together, or all like swirled together. So you get that kind of, like, it's kind of a golden tone. I guess that's kind of because I was concentrating in the middle where there's a lot of yellow and orange, but that's the look. And here it is swatched on the back of my hand. And of course, with something like this, you can just go in and like focus on certain colors. Like if you wanted just to focus on like the pink and the orange, you know, you can get a little bit of that. And swatches like that. So I'm going to try swatching it from this angle. I'm filming from a different angle and setup right now, so we're going to see how this works out. So here I am just going to finger swatch it this way. And so that's what it looks like. And there we go. So it definitely has like a pastel, slightly iridescent sheen to it, and that's what I was trying to achieve. Like, I didn't want the blue to be so overpowering, which that seems to be an issue in a lot of rainbow highlighters. So I pretty much achieved what I wanted to, and yeah, I'm happy with it. So I hope this inspires you to make your own rainbow highlighter and, you know, just play around with it. Like, there's so many possibilities when it comes to this. Like, you can use each color individually, or you can swirl them all together and get like the golden shade, or you can just use a couple at a time, or like if you want to just kind of like go around and like swap, what am I trying to say? Not really swatch, but you know, just swipe your finger around that way so that you get the full like stripey effect, or you can apply like individual stripes, you know, just whatever. Just have fun with it. Okay, so I'm just trying to get a different like view of this in a different light. Maybe I can't tell if this is a little more true to color in this lighting, because in the other lights it looks kind of washed out. But I mean, there's color there, but it's not like super pigmented. It's pastel and it's faint, and it's just like a prismatic look, which is what I was aiming for this highlighter. So I say I achieved what I was going for. So yay!